large one you can see is from the NIRs, actually from like CNA, Evan, and other IRs, they require for their members. And from APNIC direct members, you can see the right-hand side there. Associate member means those new members, quite a lot of new members actually come to APNIC to open their account to receive these delegations. It seems like our region still lack of IPv4. They actually want to receive a bit of IPv4 to run the business. And you can see that associate members, small members, more likely require from this returned pool. And where these requests come from, and look at the pie chart in the right-hand side, is by economy. And you can see China, India, Australia, Hong Kong, Indonesia, New Zealand, and Bangladesh, Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore. It's the top 10 economies actually receive delegation from this returned pool. Move on. Let's look at the APNIC IPv4 available pool. We all know we have a philo/a. We also call it 103/a. It is the philo/a for APNIC members. All account holders can receive maximum up to /22 from this philo/a. It's guided by the philo/a policy. And we also just implement that Part 105 is guided to allocate those reserved recover the pool or return the pool. And those from IANA. The recover pool, amount of the total recover pool actually will be changed. Depends on the IANA allocation and also the delegation to APNIC members. According to the global policy, IANA will delegate like one prefix size to 1 unit to each IRs on the first day of March and the first day of September. So every 6 months, they have one delegation until the pool finish. So far, when the first active is in May, and immediately delegated /11. And in the first working day of September, IANA delegated /12. And the next one will be March next year, and will be delegated /13, I believe. And then we'll slow down like /14 and 15, 16, and then slow until the pool is finished. Let's move on to the ASN statistics. You can see this graph shows the 2x and 4x ASN assignments from APNIC. It's the direct assignment from APNIC. Since 2007, APNIC started to assign 4x AS numbers. And you can see the red bar shows the 4x AS number assignment. And you can see the growth. And the blue bar is showing the 2x AS number assignment. And it slowed down in the recent year. Since 2012, APNIC assigned 4x AS number more than 2x AS number. It is a change point, you can see. And nowadays, since this year, over around 70% of new assignments is 4x. So it's very good to see our region actually accept 4x AS number now. And let's look at the pool, the APNIC pool at the moment. And 2x AS number, we have under 300 2x AS number in the pool. And we have around under 2,000 4x AS numbers still in the pool. We just received AS number allocation from IANA early this month. That's why we have quite a bit of stock in our pool. If members want a 4-byte AS number, can they still get it? The answer is yes. Yes, you can still require 4-byte or 2-byte AS number. It depends on your equipment or your network support. If you want a 2-byte AS number, and you need to tell us either your equipment doesn't support 4-byte or your upstream doesn't support 4-byte. And by default, you will give a 4-byte AS number. If you don't tell us, and then if default, you will receive a 4-byte AS number. But if you want a 2-byte AS number, you can still request for it. IPv4 transfer is always a hot topic since we implemented the policy. And in the past presentation, I always give you some update on that. And tomorrow, we will also have some statistic data to show how the transfer is going. And we can still see quite active, the transfer is active. And in the last 6 months, we start to see like IPv4 transfer from AWAN region to our NIR members. So this is a new things happen in the last 6 months. So, and we got some inquiry about which NIR have implemented the IPv4 transfer policies. So we consulted all the NIRs and have a summary here. And we put that in the website as well. You can go to apnic.net/transfer, and we have all the up-to-date information. And you can see this table. JPNIC, AWAN, and IDNIC is fully implemented the IPv4 transfer policy. So you can do transfer with them without any problems. And VNIC and CNIC, they only allow transfer in at the moment. Like if you want to transfer IPv4 into VNIC and CNIC member, it's okay. But they have implemented like now the member transfer out to other APNIC member or to other regions. And KRA and TWA is seems at the moment is not going to implement this IPv4 transfer policy. They are forced on IPv6 development. So that's probably the reason they don't implement this transfer policy. And also people ask, do they provide pre-proof? How do they charge? And yes, you can see some of the RIRs, they provide pre-proof. And some of them, they like up on your request. And we also have the fee information in the website. I don't really want to show here. You can check in the website how each NIR charge the transfer fees. This diagram shows the transfer, how it happened from AWAN to APNIC NIR members. It is most the complicated case. Like you can see, from AWAN member, AWAN hostmaster, and APNIC hostmaster, and NIR hostmaster, and to the NIR members. There's 5 parties related to this transfer. And I would like to just quickly go through these procedures, because quite a few people ask how actually do it. And if you are an NIR member, you want to receive transfer or want to transfer out, you need to check with your NIR. Is that NIR announced IPv4 transfer? And can you get a pre-proof? And also check, do you need to pay for the transfer fee? And after that, you will reach the transfer agreement with an AWAN member, a source. An AWAN member will submit the transfer request to AWAN after that. And Aaron will evaluate the transfer request based on Aaron's policy. It is based on Aaron's policy, not APNIC, because it's Aaron. And then Aaron will forward the transfer request to APNIC once they approve the transfer request and receive Aaron's transfer fee from their member. That's the source to pay some of the transfer fee. I believe this is $500 per transfer at the moment. Yeah. And then after that, APNIC will acknowledge the transfer request with Aaron. APNIC will forward the transfer request to the related NIR and ask the NIR to confirm. And NIR will contact the member and evaluate the request. NIR will inform APNIC to accept the transfer once they approve the transfer and receive the transfer fee from their members. The recipient also need to pay the transfer to NIR. APNIC will not charge any transfer fee to NIR at the moment. NIR provides the registration details, including reverse DNS information to APNIC, and then APNIC will update the APNIC database to reflect this transfer and inform Aaron. Aaron will update the Aaron database to reflect the transfer and confirm with APNIC. In fact, there's no physical transfer IP address from one region to another region. It is just APNIC add the resource key into our pool and database, and Aaron delete it. That is the transfer happens. And APNIC notify the NIR the transfer is complete, and NIR notify the member the transfer is complete. And Aaron also will notify their member the transfer is complete. And this is the current procedures for a transfer from Aaron member to an APNIC NIR member. It's quite a complicated case. There's a few parties involved in this transfer. Okay, any question? Yeah.
Hi, good morning. My name is Tomohiro Fujisaki, and I would like to ask one question about the return address pool distribution.
Yes.
So, one question is that currently the return address pool does not include the return address to the APNIC, right?
No, at this stage, it's not put that into the pool yet. Because most of them, the question is, most of them is, we came it by force. Like, we don't want to use them at this stage to avoid some legal problem. Yeah, so we keep them for a little while, and maybe at the recent time, we will put that into the pool later.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Toshio Tachibana, from Green Inc. And I have experience about transfer from the APNIC to JPNIC. And we are one of the JPNIC member. So from my experience, and this procedure is much complicated. So then someone can understand to a little difficult. So, if possible, we want to improve the procedure, such as how can we track the procedure, who has a ball at this time or something. So, and if possible, please show the status of their procedure. Yeah. So. For example, at this time, the ball handling by the ALIN or APNIC secretariat or NIR secretariat, it's visible. It's very easy to understand for the procedure.
First for your comment. Yeah, we will actually put this information into our website after this meeting.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, because we just actually has this transfer case. We send the transfer from Aaron to JPNIC, and we just test this procedure. We just this procedure to work and see how it goes. the procedure is always like will be improved from time to time. Yeah, based on the experience. Yeah, thank you for your comment. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Gonglian, and thanks for those comments and questions. It really encourages us to be engaged with you. So I hope there'll be more questions and comments coming along. So next is Vivek Nigam. He'll be speaking on updating on the member services. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vivek, and in my presentation, I would like to share some of the recent activities we have been doing in the member service team in the last few months. A little bit background on the member service team. I've been a part of this team for about 7 years now, and we've also had some new staffs join this team. That's Dinesh and Puburu, who started a few months ago. As you can see by the name of our team members, we all come from different cultural backgrounds. We also have different educational backgrounds, and this diversity allows us to provide multilingual support in languages such as Japanese, Hindi, Chinese, and more. And this also enables us to provide specialized support in areas like database, networking, customer service, and more. In this slide, you can see some of the general support we provide to our members. So things like whois updates, troubleshooting, reverse DNS, APNIC, and so on, as well as the different mediums through which we provide our support, which is chat, email, and phone. Currently, we operate from 9 to 9 on Mondays to Friday, and we cover this shift on a rotating shift roster. So in this presentation, I will talk about some of the services improvements we have made in different areas, such as RT object campaign, a new VoIP system, some APNIC features, and finally, I'd like to talk about some trends and observations we have made in areas including reverse DNS, how long those updates take, as well as some geolocation issues. So this here is an update on our IRT object campaign that the member service team has been running for a couple of years now. The IRT object policy was implemented in November 2010, and the objective of this policy was to improve the network abuse contact information in the whois database. APNIC started this campaign back in the early 2013, and our objective was to make our members aware about what is an RT, how to create them, and basically to encourage the adoption of this policy in the APNIC region. So in stage 1, we sent out emails to all our members who had not created RT, showing them how to create it, and then also associate it with their IP ranges. At this stage, we also deployed a bulk RT update feature in APNIC, which made it easier for our members to associate their RT with their customer assignments as well. Earlier this year, we did the stage 2. So in this stage, we sent reminder emails to all members who had not registered their RT, reminding them to create them and then associate it with their IP registrations. So some statistical information about this campaign. So before we started this campaign, about 42% of our members had created and referenced their RT objects. And after stage 1, it improved to 85%. And then stage 2, earlier this year, it went up to 87%. So a little disappointing on the stage 2, but we still proactively look for every opportunity to educate our members and encourage them to use the RT object. We have also deployed a new VoIP phone system in the office here. There are a couple of advantages internally from our staff, such as real-time call monitoring, but I'm just covering the external benefits to our members. So the primary one is greatly improved sound quality, and this is really important when you're speaking to members who don't have English as their first language. We also have call overflow management now, so if you call the help desk and we're not available, instead of just ringing out The call flows to other units like the registration service or our office team. There's also an option to support which unit you want to speak to on the call and as well as leave messages. We've also improved our procedure to regularly check our voice messages, so if you do leave a message, you would hear back from us within a working day. And lastly, there's also reduced average wait times, and this is because calls are now put into queues and it directly goes to the staff who's available instead of just ringing all phones. Another new initiative we have started is what we call new member welcome calls. What we have noticed is that a lot of our members, when they get resources from us, they don't come back to us until they receive some complaints about their invalid whois, or they upstream ask them to make whois updates like route objects and so on. And we notice a lot of these new members, they're not aware that they can actually make these updates themselves through APNIC. So to assist with this situation, we have now started giving a new kind of courtesy welcome call to every new member. And through this call, we try and get some feedback on our membership process itself to see if we can improve that. We talk to them a bit about APNIC, show them how to register, and then also educate them on how to make whois updates and get them familiar with the maintainer object concept. So hopefully, with this new initiative, we can get the new members more aware of the policy requirements on keeping their registration up to date, as well as getting them educated on how they can make these changes themselves. Just in the same theme, we have also made some changes to APNIC to make it easier for our members to update their whois registration. So in this slide, you can see previously a typical object template a member would have to complete. It has all the optional attributes, which can be confusing, especially for new members who don't know how to fill it. So now what they see is a more precise object with just the mandatory attributes, which makes it a bit easier, especially for new members who don't know how to complete these templates. So this change has gone through all whois updates in APNIC. We have also provided a new contacts menu in APNIC. So from here, you can view all existing correspondences that you have with APNIC, including the different units, what's the status of those requests, and also a new feature called EC submission, through which you can now give feedback directly to the APNIC Executive Council. In security, we've made a couple of improvements as well. So our payments page has now been enhanced. The difference here is previously only the page where you entered your credit card details was secured with HTTPS, and now the entire process, including the page before where you retrieve your invoice, as well as the confirmation page, is all secured. In terms of email, we have also enabled the SMTP transport layer security in our mail servers. So provided your mail servers also have SMTP TLS, you can securely exchange emails with us. Those were basically some of the improvements. Before I move on to trends, just want to make a note that most of our improvements are made directly based on the feedback we receive from our members. So I'd like to thank them for that feedback, and we hope we continue to get more feedback so we can make more improvements. Under trends and observations, two areas we've got a lot of feedback from our members lately, one of them being geolocation. The typical type of feedback we get is they have incorrect geolocation information about their IPs, and this problem seems to be more prevalent in the delegations we make from the recycle pool, and that is likely because they have been previously delegated to other organizations, and some geolocation providers are still fetching the old information and not the current one which we have delegated. Other issues are like no geolocation information. So an example would be members trying to register a specific assignment to show a city or a state where they're trying to use a block, but when they go to geolocation sites, it just shows a generic economy or country level registration and not the specific one that they have registered. And there are a couple more, but I won't go into all details. But with reverse DNS, the general queries we are getting is how long it takes for the delegation to get active. And this, again, depends on a few different factors. So I'll just spend a few minutes to discuss these two issues. With reverse DNS, the amount of time it'll take for the delegation to get active depends on a few things, such as how you register your domain object, as well as which RIR is managing the /8 level reverse delegation, and then again the TTL and refresh values of the global DNS. So the first step to create the domain object, you need to use APNIC, or you can do it through our help desk. You cannot use AutoDBM or the email update at this stage due to the way the domain objects are authenticated. Now, if you use APNIC, the updates from the APNIC name server, which is at the /8 level, it generally gets updated within a few minutes. And if you're using email updates or through help desk, it could take about 2 hours for the delegation to get updated from the /8 APNIC name server level. Now, since we have started receiving a lot of transfers from ARIN, and also we're making delegations from Recycle Pool, some of those pools /8 reverse DNS is managed by other RIRs like ARIN. And so when you make these updates, it could take up to 4 hours to update the other RIR name servers. And then again, once these updates are done, the global DNS will still take possibly a week or longer based on TTL and refresh. So if you're not sure which RIR is managing the /8 level, I've put the link here from the IANA site. This will give you a good indication on which RIR is doing the /8 level delegation. So I have highlighted here the 45/8, so even though APNIC is currently making delegations from this block, the /8 level reverse DNS is managed by ARIN, so you need to be aware of the few extra hours it takes to update the ARIN name servers. With geolocation, a little bit of background information. So this attribute was introduced middle of last year to provide hint to geolocation providers on where an IP is being used. Since this is still a relatively new feature, it's not widely used by all our members or by geolocation providers themselves. From APNIC side, the records which we maintain or the parent blocks which we delegate to our members, we don't set any geoloc attribute by default. So if you need this reference, you need to let us know so we can put it in your parent blocks. And we record your economy of registration in your parent block. So in other words, the country attributes in your IP block, they represent the economy your organization is located in and not where your network is deployed. Some of the feedback we've given to our members who are facing this issue are to firstly ensure your WHOIS database is accurate. This way those geolocation providers or content providers who are referring to WHOIS, at least they have your right information. And after that, you could contact some of the third-party geolocation providers like MaxMind, IP2 Location, and get them to update your geolocation. Some of them also have online forms where you can enter your IP details and give them the correct information. So there's more information on geolocation in our FAQ page, the apnic.net/geolocation. This issue is still ongoing, so at this stage, we are trying to get some feedback from our members on if they feel APNIC should make any changes to the WHOIS, how we manage geolocation, or if there's any other support you need from APNIC in regards to geolocation issues. And that's all I have time for. Thank you. Questions?
Hi, Dean Pemberton, Internet NZ. Just one question. You mentioned early on that the hours of support for the help desk were 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Mm-hmm. That does kind of make sense from having it 9 p.m. given that you're in Brisbane and the APNIC membership is quite a wide range of time zones. Mm-hmm. But just a little bit of feedback from New Zealand, but also a lot of the Pacific Island nations that I go to, it effectively means that that there's no one available until 11 o'clock. So effectively we're getting half-time support on the phone. There's no one available until almost lunchtime. So, you know, a lot of the other service industries that operate out of Australia have either a 7 a.m. or an 8 a.m. shift, even at a reduced staffing, so that there's at least someone there to answer the phone from the 9 a.m. local time in the morning throughout the Pacific Islands and New Zealand. So
Sure.
just wanted to give that feedback.
Sure. Thanks for that feedback.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Vivek, and indeed that's very good feedback. So the next one is APNIC Services Roadmap by George Koo, our Services Director.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, APNIC members, and for those members who are watching remotely. I hope that Quang Liang and Vivek's presentation are relevant and useful to you. As for my presentation, I like to give you some information of what you can expect for the future service development in the next few months to come. And therefore, I have the APNIC Services Roadmap here to share with you. So why do we need a services roadmap? We strongly believe that for members who receive services from us, they have the right to know where we are heading and what's going to happen because they are the one who receive the services, and they would, the services would have subsequent impact on the members. And most importantly, we believe that this is the opportunity for members to be able to comment on the activities that they see and we share with them and give them input. And this is really important for us. We also note that from the recent focus group report that we are hearing from the members, they like to know what's happening. Therefore, we now have this service roadmap to share with you. A little bit more background on the services roadmap. As Vivek mentioned, that we make improvements, changes based on a lot of members' suggestion and feedback. So I'd like to thank the members who take time to do this. It's really important. And we also make plans and changes based on the observation that we have, such as the common problems or question asked or any confusion that's caused to the members. So with this services roadmap, if I can kind of put them into categories, we are actually focusing on improving, making interface easy to use, and we also like to make it easier for members to access services and the portal and so on. We also like to improve the registration services, such as the who is experienced for our members, because we know that's an important part of what they need to do. So you can see that what we are doing on this summit, what this services map, roadmap is about delivering values and, again, to improve and give the best service experience to our member. So exactly what's in the roadmap, you can see that we have a timeline. We'll start making things happen and making the changes from the last quarter of this year, and we aim to have all these implemented by the end of first quarter next year. In fact, we have actually already started planning and working on some of these. And I'd like to just give you some information and more details about these improvements. And also Duncan and Byron will give you more detail as well later on following my presentation. First one I'd like to share with you is about the incident feedback system that we are implementing. We have been working on this project for the last few months now. The reason why we call it an instant feedback system is It will allow members to provide feedback right after they have received the service or contacted APNIC, because we know that a lot of our members are busy. It really takes their precious time to give feedback to us, and we do like to make it easy for them. As many of you know, currently feedback are given via the email. So you got to initiate and send an email to us, or call APNIC and speak to us and give us the feedback. So I believe the new system will provide different channels, such as when you are viewing a web page content, you're able to give instant feedback of what you think, whether the content is useful or not. Perhaps after a phone call, speaking to one of our staff members, you're able to comment on the quality of information you received and so on. Very importantly, you're able to give the feedback without giving your name. We don't really need to know your name, so you can give it anonymously. And I believe the benefit is also for us be able to collect information and manage the information of members' feedback more effectively. And we are able to identify and monitor the trends quicker, faster than before, and therefore be able to make changes quicker and respond to the members' needs faster. So that's just a brief information about instant feedback system. So we will keep you informed, and I hope you would give up your time generously in giving us the feedback. The next one I like to share with you is the improved transfer information. Again, we heard from the comments from the floor, and also via emails and the members we talked to, or been the events that we attended, and the feedback we received from the members. Many of them don't actually have in-depth knowledge about the transfer, IPv4 transfer information, and also the information on our website has a lot of details, and it's difficult to digest. So we are going to improve and make the information a lot simpler. And please do let us know if the information is not clear to you. You keep telling us, and we keep improving it for you. So we are going to rearrange the information to make it easier to read, and you will find it a lot easier to find information. You will find the procedure and process easier to locate, therefore to help you if you do need the transfer service. The next one is on easier invalid contact reporting. We also hear quite a lot from our members that complaining about invalid contact registration in WHOIS, and we do like to help and clean it up, but we do also need members or anyone out there who uses WHOIS database to help us. Therefore, we want to improve the form to make the process of reporting easier. So again, you're not bogged down in having to find the form and then report that to us. Next one is the faster contact update. Again, this is try to improve the experience of updating WHOIS for APNIC members. For all these years, members are not able to update the registration, what we call the portable address blocked resources that they receive from APNIC directly. And again, so it's not easy for them to, so what is happening right now is they will have to email APNIC a request to change the contact, and then they will wait for APNIC to then update, and then we go back and tell them that it's updated. So there's kind of a couple of days a delay. So we really want to make this easy for members to update their contacts whenever there's a change, at their own pace, when it's needed for them to do so. maintainer management, in my opinion, Vivek also touched on this. It's also related to domain object reverse delegation. So, and we are also hearing from members that they find the error message in my APNIC popping up difficult to understand. They get lost. And they need to add the password and the maintainer. So again, there's delay in that process. So we're going to really seriously looking at improving this experience and process, and we will automate process wherever possible. Again, the improvement is really aiming to save members time when they need to do what they need to do. All right, a few more items on the roadmap that will involve easier access. Like I mentioned earlier, this roadmap is also about making it easier to access services that you need from APNIC. So we are hearing members that they are forgetting their usernames. There are too many usernames to remember. So we're going to allow members to use the email to get access into my APNIC. We are also hearing from the membership, they like to have more training. And Duncan will give a bit more details on this. Lastly, the MyAPNIC two-factor authentication. Again, this is also improving the experience of authentication using MyAPNIC, and I'll leave this to Byron to give more details to you. That's all I have for this services roadmap. I'd like to just quickly summarize this presentation. It's all about making the information available to members in advance. They know what is going to happen to them, whether that's going to have an impact on them, and so they can think about it and look into and then give feedback to APNIC for further improvement, because members are the one who use the services really, their experience and their view, what they think is really important for us to be able to provide better services and provide the best service experience to member. We are going to make these information online shortly after the meeting, and we also will be on the services website, keeping members updated about what's happening and the status of each of the improvement. And we are also started to make information available on APNIC blog. So please, if you do have feedback, we'd like to have you say here what you say and do tell us how we can improve the service. Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Ajay Kumar from IRIN. So regarding the content, do you have any plan to available the content in other languages?
Which particular content?
Regarding the transfer policy and transfer procedure, IPv4 transfer procedures?
I believe from the survey information we're hearing, member wanted saying that the English okay, but we'd like to have more information translated. So thanks for that feedback. If there's a particular need on that area, we'll definitely look into making that information available.
Okay.
Yeah. We're currently already doing small translations, such as the referral application. We already have it translated into Chinese. So if there's a need for the transfer information to be translated, we would definitely like to work together with the member on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Elvis Velavi for Escrow. One quick question. I know you guys published the list of transfers on the FTP, or on the APNIC FTP. Do you have any plans to publish it on the website as well, somewhere?
Do you mean not on the FTP file, but just make it in the?
Yeah, basically just put the FTP file somewhere on a website,
okay.
Human readable.
Okay. Yep. We don't currently have such plan, but if this is needed, yes, we will definitely look into that. I don't think that's something difficult for us to do. So yeah. Yep. Okay. And I'd like to talk to you in more details and
sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
In the break.
Thank you. Any questions? No? All right, thank you.
Thanks, George. Yes, do engage with my colleagues during the break or today, tomorrow. They'll be still here. Moving on with other services, we have development services at APNIC from Duncan McIntosh. He's our development director. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunny, and good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure to speak to you for the first time as the Development Director. Some of you may know my predecessor, Philip Smith. Philip obviously left a very large pair of shoes to fill. I think I'll avoid that by bringing my own shoes. I'm not a technical person. And so this morning I'd like to update you on the development services at APNIC. You've heard largely about the core registry services so far, and what I'm going to update you on this morning are the development services that we provide to members and the community. Essentially, the focus for the development services are the sustainable and continuing development of the internet community in the broadest sense, with obviously the particular focus on our members to ensure an open and stable and secure internet for everybody. We do this as first and foremost as a service to the members, but because we also want to see the internet grow sustainably throughout the region. But a really important part, because obviously particularly the Secretariat is not a large organisation, we need to partner. And I'll get into a few examples of how we'd like to partner and who we like to partner with in the next few minutes. Just to run through the development services that the Secretariat provides to the membership and the community at large. Obviously the best known aspect of the services are training. The team is consisting of Narul, I think many of you may know if you've done training. Shane, sitting quietly over here. Shane, put your hand up. And Lisa, who I think you may have met, who's out on the registration desk and not with us this morning. Engineering assistance is something that Philip had worked on initially as well, and we're building on very much. Working on engineering assistance is Miwa, who's here. Many of you know Miwa, obviously. Part of that, an important part of that, is the infrastructure around root servers and our great interest to encourage IXP development in the region. Obviously, community development, the network operator groups, support for fellowships, engagement with other Asia-Pacific internet organisations is something we do as well. Sunny, who you all know very well, obviously, from the conference this week, is particularly involved in that. And then we have the Information Society Innovation Fund projects and awards that we do, ICEF, with Sylvia, who's down the back here. And last but definitely not least, of course, is the policy process, which is handled by Adam, sitting down the front here. Adam, you all know. So that's the development services team within APNIC. Looking at it in a little bit more detail, particularly training, I just thought it useful to give you an idea of the scale of our training. Over the last 12 months, we've trained about 3,000 network engineers and administrators around the region in about 19 of the 56 economies in the Asia-Pacific. In terms of engineering assistance, we're looking at about 2 or 3 projects. I'll explain that in a bit more detail shortly. Fellowships for this particular conference, we've had 14 fellows coming along, including 2 youth fellows. The youth fellowship program is something we're very keen to promote and develop. It's sort of a first time for APNIC 38. I'd be very interested to talk to anyone interested in helping us develop the youth program that we have. In community development this year, we supported 8 network operator groups around the region. We'd certainly like to, there's around 15 network operator groups in the Asia-Pacific. Obviously, with 56 economies, we could definitely grow that community. We're very interested to do that, and if anyone is interested in building a network operator group in their country, we'd all be delighted to talk to you. And then, of course, in terms of project grants, I'll give you a few more details in a minute regarding what we've been doing with ICEF. For the training, again, just to familiarise you a bit more with the details of it, we run workshops of 3 to 5 days. These include labs for everyone to participate in, tutorials of 1 to 2 days, and we do e-learning. Wednesdays is particularly our e-learning day, 1 to 2 hour sessions that you can come online every Wednesday to pick up a particular subject. The main 5 areas of focus for our training, I think you're all aware of, but good to put it out there clearly: IP and AS resources, DNS, network security, routing, and IPv6. Over the next few months, we're going to try to engage more with the community to get your thoughts and feedback if we need to develop that list, add to that list, what you think might be missing from that list. I'd be very happy to hear from you today or the rest of this week around what else we could do with that list of core subjects. In terms of engineering assistance, as I say, Philip's particularly been working in this area, and we're very keen to partner with our members. Essentially, engineering assistance we see as independent advice and assistance from networking experts that we know and have partnered with for many years. IPv6 is a good example with Philip and people like Dean here in the audience. In India as well, with Srinath Beldona, some of you may know. Providing network design, optimization, guidance on best current practices, deployment of operational technologies, as I say, like IPv6. Why do we do this? We're not doing it as a for-profit, obviously. We're not doing it to compete with anyone. It's a service to our members, just to support the development of the internet in the region. It's strictly within the Asia-Pacific region that we focus on, and we do it on a cost recovery basis. And as I say, I'd be very happy to talk to people about this service as it's something we're very keen to develop. In terms of policy, obviously we've got the policy SIGs later today, so I won't go into too much detail. You know, it's around the maintenance of the policy documents, the facilitation of the process, the promotion, particularly of participation and engagement. And I think I really want to emphasize that third point. You know, the policy process works because the community participates and engages in it. If the community doesn't participate and engage in the policy process, it's a real challenge. So I think we want to really encourage you all and hear from you if you're not aware of it or you find it challenging. What can we do to facilitate your engagement and participation in the policy process? And of course, there's the implementation of the policy decisions. And finally, ICEF Asia. And I think we really want to, again, promote this as an activity that we do. It's very generously supported by the Canadian and Swedish governments. And ICEF, in short, is the way that we see if you're managing and running a network, your network is generally going to have a very positive impact on the community. It's providing services and development opportunities for your community. And ICEF is the mechanism that creates awareness and recognises the positive social impact of your networks, whether it's providing services to the community, helping the community develop. And this is our way to recognise that really positive impact on your communities that your network achieves. It's obviously not a technical thing, but I think the work that you do as technical people to provide these networks to the community should be recognised. So we provide grants and awards through ICEF. It's been going for several years, and we really encourage you, if you've got community activities that you see being recognised, we would like to hear about them as well. Over the period of ICEF, as you can see, we've had a lot of projects and submissions, more than 800 from 26 of the Asia-Pacific economies. Again, that's not the whole region. With 56 economies, that's about half. So we'd like to hear more from you if you know of more projects. It's very well funded, 2.5 million Australian dollars has been made available to different projects. And while we've not got the coverage we like, we do have very good coverage with 40 grants and 19 awards in that list of countries you can see there on the screen. And lastly, of course, it's to recognise the support that we get for ICIF. I've mentioned already IDRC from Canada, CEDA from Sweden, APIA, ICANN, the Internet, ISOC, Internet Society, and of course .Asia. All of these organisations have given great support to ICIF over the years. We would welcome any other agencies, members, companies, organisations that might like to engage and support ICIF as well. So that's it. Thank you very much. That's a brief overview of development services at APNIC. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Ajay Kumar from Nixie. What is the framework for hosting L-root server? Is it similar to host other anycast root server like KFI, or some different arrangement is there?
There's different arrangements for each category of root server. I mean, I think maybe we can talk.
Duncan.
George. Thank you.
This is George Michelson from APNIC. ICANN have a very detailed application process and specification that they run from their own site. They've asked if we could engage with the community and if we could talk to people and solicit root instances, but for the detail of deployment, they deal direct. They are extremely keen to deploy in any location, high, low bandwidth, large, disconnected. They're extremely keen, but they deal directly for the details.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, George. Any other questions? No? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Duncan. And just to echo what Duncan already said, mentioned, partnerships are very important for us to engage with the community and to develop this region. So if you have any interest in partnering with the APNIC, please take time to talk to Duncan. We have a number of areas, training, ECIF, other areas as well. With that, we have the technical. I think Baran is going to talk to you about my APNIC two-factor authentication that George already mentioned in his presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Did you all enjoy the social last night? I thought it was pretty nice. All right, so I'm going to talk to you for about 10 minutes to just introduce what we're looking at doing to improve two-factor authentication in my APNIC. What I'll cover is why are we looking at doing this? What is it that we're actually thinking of doing? And then it's a request for feedback from the APNIC membership that's really the focus of this presentation. So first up, why are we making a change? Well, as those of you who use MyAPNIC know, we've got X509 certificate-based authentication. It's been in there in MyAPNIC since it launched in 2002. It's highly secure, but if you have used it, you know it can be quite difficult to work with. Browser support and other tools for user certificates, they're not real great, and we've waited 12 years for them to improve, and they haven't. So we're thinking, we get a lot of feedback that this is a difficult process, and so we think we should make a change. So what we're looking at doing, well, the X509 certificates, as we use them, they're a form of two-factor authentication. So two-factor or multi-factor is where you use two of three kinds of means of authenticating. And it's usually something you know, like a password, something you possess, like a certificate, or something that you are, like biometrics, fingerprints, and so on. So for us, we have user ID and password, which is something you know, and we have certificates, which is something you have. What we're looking at doing is providing an alternative to certificates for something you have being an open standards-based, time-based, one-time password. This is pretty commonly known as a Google Authenticator, but it is actually a standard implemented. It's an RFC, so it's been designed through the IETF process. And there are open implementations of it other than Google Authenticator, although Google Authenticator is the one I use personally. And these two, time-based one-time password or X509, are alternatives that will work side by side, so it'll be a choice. So in order to use this, what we're proposing is that first you would choose whether you want to switch to time-based one-time passwords or stay with X509. you choose what authentication device you want. There's a load of smartphone applications. Any smartphone, well, any of the 4 major iOS smartphones can do this for you. And there are a few hardware devices that will do it, although they're a little bit trickier. And then you simply have to activate it on your APNIC user account in My APNIC, and you'd be away. So login process would not be very different to how it is now. Right now you see username and password. We'd add a third field there, which would be the 6-digit code for your authenticator. There's a screenshot out of the Google Authenticator mobile application. It's just a 6-digit code that lasts for about 30 or 60 seconds, and then there's a new one generated. And your smartphone provides that to you. So the first question, and this is the most important one, is this the right direction to take My APNIC authentication for you? If so, what about the X509 certificates? At the moment, we're looking at saying, well, we'll support them for about a year, and at the end of that year, we'll just stop issuing new ones, and you'll have to switch to time-based one-time passwords if you still want 2-factor authentication. But if we get feedback saying that people like and would like to keep certificates, we can support that. That's no problem at all. What about the time-based? Is that the right approach for 2-factor? We've looked at a number of options. Time-based is used by a number of other organisations quite successfully, including RIPE, Google, Amazon Web Services, Dropbox. There's a long list. It's pretty widely used. It's pretty comfortable to use. So we think that it's a very good option, at least on that basis. And we can implement it cheaply as well. So I'm happy to take feedback on the floor. Alternatively, there's a blog post up on this, blog.apnic.net. It was published today, so it's still at the front of the list there. You can leave feedback there. You can also send feedback to us through all of the usual mechanisms, including helpdesk@apnic.net. Are there any comments, questions, or feedback from your...
Maybe it's a question. With the one-time password, does it mean we can access My APNIC more easily with tablet or a smartphone?
I think you would be able to, yes, because you wouldn't need to load your certificate into those devices. It's a code generated by an application on your phone, so using the code on your phone and the browser on your phone can be a little bit tricky, but I think we'd look at ways to make that simpler. A lot of the time, with these kinds of mechanisms, we can choose to require that login or that additional authentication once every 30 days or so rather than every time. So for each device, we can just store, well, this device has been authenticated recently. It doesn't need the additional. That would make it a lot easier.
Okay, that would be great if we can access My APNIC over a tablet or a smartphone. And then I think maybe My APNIC has to be tailor-made for smaller schools.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for the feedback.
Hi, Dean Pemerson, Internet NZ. I'm a great fan of two-factor auth and especially the Google Authenticator. But the areas that I've seen people implement two-factor auth before and have a couple of teething problems are around how you do backups to it and how you do resets on it. So a lot of people that are looking at rolling this out have to do a lot of thinking about what happens when you lose your phone, what happens when you can't get access to it. So it'd be good if you rolled out like the backup tokens as well.
Yep.
That sort of thing, or how do you handle someone calling up the help desk and saying, "Oh, look, I had two-factor auth, but then I lost my phone,"
Yep.
and it's those sorts of systems which really makes the difference between a really positive deployment and one where it looks okay until someone loses their device and then everything goes wrong. So,
yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for that. It is actually a very important part of these sorts of methodologies. I looked into a few of the big companies, what they do. With Apple, if you lose your two-factor and your reset token, you've lost your account. It's gone. For APNIC, we don't need to do that, that level of you're on your own. We already have a help desk team that can recover access if you've lost your certificate. So we'd use a modified version of that. But I think the recovery tokens are also very useful. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, Ajay Kumar from NICSI. It is very good initiative in using the certificate, it is very difficult task. It varies from browser to browser. In some browser it is working fine, in some browser it is not working. So it is, I think it is a good initiative to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, again, blog.apnic.net, you can leave your comments there. And there's a lot of good content going up on there this week, so it's worth checking out if you haven't already. Thank you.
Okay, we still have time before we break for the morning tea. If you have any further questions or comments to make, please, yeah, Elvis.
Yeah, so, sorry, Elvis as a person now. If anyone wants on Saturday to go see whales, I'm planning to actually get a small group together and talk to the people outside that organize these kind of things. So if anyone is here on Saturday and wants to join us into whale watching, let me know.
You jumped ahead, Elvis. You did ask me to announce that in the morning. I put it in my notes here, but thanks for that.
Just one final comment is Silvia Cadena from APNIC. Just to remind you that the call for grants is still open until the end of October. So if you know about good quality projects that might fit into the ACIF Asia Fund, please consider to apply or share with your constituency to make sure that we get covered the other half of the region that we haven't been able to. So thank you very much.
If no more comments, we do have a hidden agenda which is not published on the website there. We have a membership lounge draw, a lucky prize. I believe there's 3 lucky prizes to be given away. So we really appreciate for you being here at APNIC 38 and visiting our member services lounge and interacting with engaging with our member services staff. So we like to appreciate that effort in giving away the lucky prizes. So I'd like to invite Dinesh to the stage to do the draws, please.
I'd just like to add something I mentioned earlier about the instant feedback system project. In fact, we are actually having a pilot on that. So if you like to get a glimpse on that trial system, please visit conference.apnic.net and just look for services, and you can click on it, and if you stay on a page for a few seconds, there will be a form asking you to provide the experience of visiting the lounge. If you do that and leave your email address, you'll go into another lucky draw. Thanks.
Dinesh, you want to do the draw? Hope we have the winners in this room, otherwise you're going to email them to collect it? Yeah, okay. The first winner is Purushottam Koirala from Encel Private Limited. Oh, he's in the room. Where's the gift?
Just one or? Yeah, just one. We're doing the 2 later. Just ask.
Sorry, I was just told that we do the 2 prizes on Friday tomorrow. So we can have you back in the room here tomorrow as well. Thanks, Purushottam, for visiting our member services lounge and for engaging with the staff. So let's break for morning tea, and then we'll come back for the policy SIG. But just a reminder that we have NRO-NC elections in the policy SIG. So really appreciate, for you to have your tea and come back to the room, please. Thank you.